Hey, what's up guys? It's Marf and welcome back to another Asphalt 9 multiplayer video. Today I want to talk about the Ghost season that is currently going on, which is taking the place of the usual, generic classic season, but the rule that has been changed is that there is no collision whatsoever, so no knockdowns, no bumping into people, no anything like that. And this, in my opinion, is how multiplayer should be in Asphalt 9, and there's a couple different reasons as to why I think that. But before we get into that, I just want to mention that there's also a season for the Apex AP0, and that's, the max trial season. I'm not sure if I'm going to make a video on that because it's kind of just like another Corvette in B class, so let me know if you want to see and hear my thoughts on that car, but for now I probably won't make a video on that just because it's another generic like Corvette ripoff in B class. We already have so many of those. Like, I think the Vantage GT12 is like the same way as well. But anyway, let's get on to talking about the Ghost season, because like I said, I think this is how Asphalt 9 multiplayer should always be. And firstly, like I said, there are no knockdowns, there's no collision or anything like that. And the reason why I love that is because ultimately when you are in a race, and let's say all of your opponents have the same car as you do, ultimately then it would come down to who's just the better driver and if you mess up. Because if you come in last place or if you wreck or anything like that, that's on you. That's not on anyone else. No one bumped you into a wall, no one knocked you down or anything like that. You messed up. And while for some people that does kind of take away the feeling of like interaction between people maybe on the other side of the world, in my opinion, the advantage of just not having people bump into you is so much better than the feeling of like actually interacting with other people online. And so like I said, if you wreck, that's on your fault and that's nobody else's fault. And so it really does make it at least a more skill-based version of multiplayer. However, of course, we still have the issue of cars and tracks, because that's one of the biggest problems in my opinion with multiplayer besides collisions. Is if let's say I choose the Bugatti Chiron for a race, let's say, and it turns out the track is Osaka. I have no control over that, which is really, really frustrating. The Chiron is probably not the best example because it still has some good handling, but I think you guys get what I mean. Like, for example, if I choose the Corvette and I'm in like Platinum League or something like that, and the track is the Himalayas, and there's like a Wyra or any other like car with good top speed, that's going to be very, very bad for me, which I really don't like. I really prefer the voting system from Asphalt 8, and yes, maybe it causes a couple seconds of delay from when you get into a race, but honestly, if everyone like has a Huracan and they all choose the Caribbean, then there you go. And if more people have top speed cars, they should choose the Himalayas or something like that. I just think that's a better system, but I digress. That's for like another video or something like that. But again, collision is just not a very good thing in this game. For, like I said, it just takes some of that skill out, because there's not a lot of control you have over other players, which is the point of, I guess, collision-based multiplayer. But at the same time, the fact that people's connections can be really, really bad means that sometimes they can bump into you, and that force that you receive will be much greater than what it actually is. Like, I've seen people dart around the track a bunch just because they have bad connections, and if they bump into you, you go like flying, even though on their screen they're probably just playing normally. So yeah, that's one of the issues with collision, is just the fact that people's connections, especially on Wi-Fi, is just really not that good. Now, the second reason why I think collision is just really not that great in Asphalt 9 is the tracks. The tracks are so freaking narrow. Like, honestly, the fact that GameLoft designed these tracks as narrow as they are, knowing that there was going to be collision-based multiplayer, is really stupid. If you take a look at the tracks in Asphalt 8, they have so much more variety in terms of how wide the tracks are. Sometimes you won't even be close to another person throughout the whole race because the tracks are so wide and vast. And in my opinion, that just makes for a much better, multiplayer experience, because when you do collide with another player, or you do knock down another player, it's significant because it doesn't happen all too often. Whereas in current Asphalt 9 multiplayer with collisions on, you're just constantly bumping into people and knocking people out, and it just becomes more of a nuisance and super annoying. Whereas, like I mentioned in Asphalt 8, because it's so rare that you bump into people, you feel something there. It feels like a greater experience because it's so rare to happen. You feel like you're actually battling someone. Not to mention the fact that most of the time in Asphalt 8, you're always at your top speed. So it's not really bumping in with each other. It's usually just like scraping paint with each other, if that makes sense. So the collision in Asphalt 8 is usually better than Asphalt 9 anyway. But like I said, the tracks are just way too narrow in Asphalt 9. You're always bumping into people, which is so annoying because if you want to take a position, even though you're a better driver, just because that the track isn't wide enough for you to pass, you just bump into the person in front of you, they gain speed, you lose speed, and through no fault of your own, even if you are the better driver, even with a better car, you just won't be able to get past, which is super frustrating. And you could make the point that like that's how racing works in real life, but this is not a simulation game. This is not real life. This is freaking Asphalt. We're doing barrel rolls in a Ferrari. Like, I shouldn't have to worry about the fact that the track is too narrow so I can't pass an opponent if I'm clearly more skilled than them. So I am really liking this Ghost season because there are no collisions, and I want to also get your guys' opinion on that as well. Do you think collisions should stay in Asphalt 9's multiplayer? I understand that every once in a while, maybe kind of like Slipstream, they should turn on collisions, but in general, I really don't think collision should be a part of the Asphalt 9 experience, especially because if we talk about collisions, we also have to talk about knockdowns. When you knock down a person in multiplayer, they get reset to an incredible, like, 5 or 10 seconds behind the person that knocked them down. Because the races are so short, they don't have time to catch up most of the time, which is super infuriating. Like, sometimes in Asphalt 8, for example, the tracks are like 1 minute and 40 seconds long sometimes if you're playing at a lower class. So if you get knocked down, you do have quite a bit of time to catch up, whereas in Asphalt 9, that is just not the case whatsoever. So frankly, in my opinion, collisions and knockdowns don't have any place in multiplayer in Asphalt 9 except for like special circumstances or anything like that. So let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below, and I'll see you guys later.